Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Aaron Dishner from the Better Traders, and oh, good grief, stop that! My video playing on the Coin Bureau YouTube channel. No, don't do that right now. You're interrupting the live stream that's just started. Here, joining me today is Crypto Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing
Nice
well.
to be here again.
I mean, as good as you possibly can on a day like today, with Bitcoin down 5% on the day, alts literally going down lower and lower and lower. Not everything, but many charts are suffering a lot right now. So just so you all know, make sure that you leave comments. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Go ahead and drop some chart requests. We will look at those. But the emphasis in today's live stream is really going to be about what we are seeing, what we are expecting to have happen to crypto or even TradFi on a bigger macro scale for next year, for 2026. So that's really the theme of this live stream. Yes, we'll be looking at charts. Yes, I'm happy to do some analysis. I'm sure Michael will be as well. But that's really what we want to be talking about today. But before we get into it, for all of the people that are watching today, especially post-stream, like the video now. Make sure to leave a comment with coins or tickers or even concepts that you take away from this video. Give us some feedback so we know what to do, what to improve on for next time. So for all of you that do not know Michael, why don't you go ahead and just take a few minutes to introduce yourself?
Yes, so I'm a Dutch guy, as you can see. I'm tall, but my name is Michaël van der Poppe. I'm the founder and CEO of MN Fund and MN Capital. MN Fund is a liquid fund, and we trade high frequency on volatility in the markets. I'm the trader of that particular company. MN Capital is a venture capital. And then I'm also having the social media reach where I create content through my own channel, Twitter, and the podcast that's called New Era Finance. So that's usually the elevator pitch that I do.
Cool. So let's just cut to the quick of it. And you sound good on there. I see people asking about my volume. It's because I'm not using the special After Effects volume like juicer upper. So this is just like normal volume, whatever. But if the volume is weird or something, just let me know in the comment section. That'd be great. Okay, so first off, everyone's probably wondering, what are you thinking right now? How are you approaching and handling Bitcoin now at $82,000? Like, what are you taking away from this right now?
Well, it's a little difficult to really build a thesis. Social media is busy trying to say what is really happening and to define the why question. I think it's multiple factors. I think the 10th of October has been a disaster for the markets. It is comparable to the Luna crash that we saw in 2022. And it takes between 3 to 6 months after that particular event to see which party has been destroyed in that actual event. And I think that is creating a lot of forced selling on Bitcoin. If you look at it plainly, then the data is just telling us that we are pretty heavy overextended to the downside. It doesn't mean that we reach the bottom now or that we can go to 70K, because obviously someone needs to get out of the markets. And then on top of that, we have Japan, which might have an impact on the markets. If it doesn't have an impact, then a lot of people believe that it has an impact on the markets, and that creates the additional sell pressure. Additionally, the cocktail of low liquidity, and that is pretty much where we are at right now. I think it's unprecedented, and I think the impact of this crash is way heavier than, in my regard, FTX, and comparable to COVID in terms of the speed of the crash.
That's nuts. Okay, I haven't heard those comparisons before. Why do you say that? I'm just really curious for a follow-up question.
Well, technically, we came from 125K end of September. We are currently trading at $80,000. We literally come from 110K 1.5 weeks ago straight to $82,000 without any bounce up, which means that all the metrics that you can check, the MACD is on the daily is the lowest we have ever had in the price of Bitcoin. The RSI is hitting the levels of the Luna crash and August 23, the crash in the summer. Short-term supply is having the heaviest P&L in terms of losses even heavier than COVID and FTX. So I can go on with all those factors, which shows that right now the current price of Bitcoin is a little overextended to the downside. If you look at the gap between the fair price, the 20 weekly MA and the 20 daily MA and the current price, I think only the Luna crash has been bigger than the current crash. So that says kind of in what type of scope we are in terms of the crash of the markets.
Okay. Let's go ahead and just jump right to the charts to talk about what's happening immediately. But I do want to talk about what your expectations are for 2026. I already got mine. I already know exactly what I'm going to say. But why don't we go ahead and just look at the current charts? And do you just want to share a couple of thoughts with us right now as to what you're seeing with BTC?
Yes, sure. I'll just quickly share my screen.
Okay.
So what I said when it comes to the current chart of Bitcoin, it's quite clear that we have a technical breakdown, right? So this monthly candle, the highest time frame that we currently see, is one of the biggest crashes that we've had since Luna. Since then, we haven't had such a big downwards candle. It's still 9 days before the monthly close, so we can
Not sure if I'm frozen or you're frozen. Let's see. We'll find out real quick in a second. Okay. Michael is frozen for the moment. That's okay. He'll pop on once he gets it going again. I'm going to go ahead and remove his chart. That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. It froze. All right. I'm going to pop over real quick over here to... I'm going to share something with you guys real quick while he's getting reconnected real quick. Okay. All right. So the main thing that is really interesting about BTC's price action right now, it's a couple of things. I mean, I already made the video about this earlier today on the Coin Bureau trading channel. Now, Bitcoin has literally been dumping massively. I've been warning you guys about this TBO breakdown that tells us that there should be more explosive downside price action. If you've been wondering what that looks like, this is it. So the unfortunate part about what we're looking at right now is the aftermath of this. But something that's really, really interesting about this move, and it's actually going to be easier to see this on the weekly time frame right here, is over here. This crash that happened back in the top March 4th down here to August 5th was about 33%. Then check out this. This drop here from January 20th, 2025 down here to April 7th, 2025. This one about 32%. Guess where we are right now? Right now, we're at 35%. We're actually looking at a deeper cut and a faster cut. If you notice how, like Michael was saying before, like things are just escalating very, very quickly right now. So 22 bars or 22 weeks to fall down 33% back in the summer of 2024. And then we got January, and then we have the tariff dump. That only took 11 or 12 weeks. Let me see if that's right. 11 weeks. Okay. This one that we're seeing right now, the reason for all of the pain and all of the fear right now, the insanity of what's happening, is because we're seeing a deeper cut right now today in under a quarter of the time, almost a quarter of the time. You have to understand, like, that is nuts. That is literally insane for BTC to be down 35% over 6 weeks. So Michael was also talking about the Terra Luna crash, which happened around here. This is when the contagion, I guess you could say, really started to spread. Back over here in March, we saw not only Bitcoin falling massively. So this one, 6 weeks down 45%. But this was after a recovery rally. More on that in a second. You guys are going to like that. Michael's back with us. Great. I'm going to add him back, but I'm going to keep going. You're back, Michael. I'm going to keep going on the charts and filling in for you real quick, and then you can pop back in. But the main thing that I think is extremely curious about what's happening right now is that this is the single largest sell-off that we've seen in a really short amount of time without any sort of correction. This to me is one of the biggest reasons why there's a massive, massive problem. Why the fear and greed index, I think is what it is. I can't remember what it's called, but the fear and greed values is like down to 10, 11. I think we're down to 8, which is the lowest we've seen since 2022, something crazy like that. So the intensity of this sell-off is unprecedented. There's a lot of damage, as Michael was saying, that really started, like, I don't even think I understood it, the gravity of the October 10th liquidation event that just absolutely destroyed so many leveraged longs, wiped out, what, $20 billion worth of leverage traders in a, 12-hour period, maybe less than. So I'm sharing this with you, and this is, again, for all of you perma bulls out there. There's also a probabilities game to be played right now. And I actually want to bring you back into this, Michael, because I'm one of those idiots that's looking at this going, I think we should bounce from here. Even though things look so bad, even though there's all this bad news that's happening, right? But I'm looking at things right now with the perspective that I really do think that Bitcoin should bounce instead of continue to dump, personally. But let me pass the ball over to you. What do you think?
Well, without a chart, my internet just went away. I don't know
That's okay.
what happened.
You're back again.
But I'm currently on Wi-Fi, so it's a little bit more unstable. But I think the reason that we dumped earlier this morning was in the final hours of the Japanese stock market. So probably a lot of unwinding prior to the end of the weekend. The entire Japanese yen carry trade that took place, that has resulted into the fact that Bitcoin went down. I think that we are overextended to the downside, and I'm very interested to see how the US will open. It is probably a lot of shorts are piled up to go live after 8:30. So it's in like 80 minutes. I think it's going to go down a little bit more. And after the US Open, we should be having a swift bounce back up, either due to PMI, either just due to the fact that there are so many shorts outstanding that are going to be squeezed. So that is where I'm focused on for now. And then we need to see.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very tricky and unusual market, I would say. It's not a regular correction that, as you said, should have been having some normal corrections back up.
Yeah. Well, I want to start talking about next year, but before I get into that, there we go. I need to do this first. Let me just pop over here. There's a couple of charts I want to share with you guys. And I also want to remind you, if you're new here, wow, this is like super zoomed in. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. Make sure to subscribe to Coin Bureau Trading, like the video. There are also tons of links down below this video in the description, whether it's for Femex, for BYD5, for 2Bit. There are also way more deals on the coinbureau.com website, including the Coin Bureau Club, lots of other things. There's a link there for also our course at the Better Traders, or our courses. There's a couple of interesting posts that I saw on X before we started today. One of these is a pretty rough one. I don't know if this is verified, but it says just in Bitmine Immersion, which is Tom Lee's company, is currently facing unrealized losses of approximately $3.7 billion on their Ethereum holdings. The same guy that was screaming for 50,000 Ethereum is now 3.7 billion in the hole. That's part and parcel of the business, though. I get it. And then we see charts like this. Glassnode, this chart from Glassnode showing the amount of, the number of addresses with a balance of more than 10,000 Bitcoin just saw a big increase. We actually jumped up a ton from here, whereas we're seeing a lot of short-term holders selling. I personally believe that we are seeing a change of hands moment, like one of those opportune moments where it's just going to be looking in hindsight like, oh man, like that was incredible. Like, look at that opportunity right there. But so many people right now are also really terrified about what's happening. So again, how can you how do you navigate a market like this that is just irrationally selling over and over and over? What is your go-to method to handle this mentally and also in terms of your portfolio, Michael?
Oof. Well, I've been very busy this morning managing our fund. In terms of the funds management on these type of markets, I mean, the more volatile things are, the better it is for us. So that is actually quite good. We are just down a few percent for the month instead of the 30% that Bitcoin is down. So that's great. But the question is, like, if you can manage it right now, what is going to be next for the markets? And it's all depending on the central banks. In the coming weeks, if Japan is going to do another sort of impact in the economy, shock impact, what is the Fed going to do? Are we going to get QE, or is the bubble going to pop? Those are the big questions for 2026. And those are going to be the big questions in the coming few weeks to months. And that's where probably the path for 2026 is decided. For my personal portfolio, you can sell. I mean, I'm fully in altcoins, so I can sell the positions, which feels irrational at this point. And all those altcoins aren't selling off based on the altcoins themselves. It's again macro. But I can start trading them actively like we do on the fund side. That is something that I'm currently debating on, because that is a way for me to increase the holdings of my altcoin portfolio and therefore break even earlier. But it's confusing. There are a lot of confusing factors at this point.
So let's pivot quickly to talk about 2026. I mean, we haven't even finished 2025 and we're already feeling like, are you kidding me? Like, this is surreal to be experiencing this. Not only did Bitcoin not hit my targets, my target from back in the beginning of 2024 for market top was 172K based off of Fibonacci extensions. Then I reduced it to 150. Then I reduced it to 130, just looking for that little push up higher. I guess I should have realized in hindsight, the moment that I changed it, moved it down, I should have taken more profit. But looking ahead to what's happening next year, how are you preparing yourself for 2026? Knowing what's happening right now, but also how are you preparing yourself for 20? I want to ask the next question, but I need to set this one up first. So what are your expectations for next year in terms of the financial landscape for crypto, for TradFi, all that fun stuff?
It's funny, if you go back to 2024 and you repeat everyone's expectations, then it's the exact opposite that took place. I don't know. To be fair, I think the most fair guess is that Bitcoin is going to go sideways for a long period of time. I mean, the overall discussion is it going to be the 4-year cycle peak that we are witnessing? Those believers are currently having their bull euphoria on that thesis as the markets are just vanishing away in November of 2025. I don't think it's correlated. I think it's correlated with macro. And if macro is going to improve, we can have a better market. So there are 3 scenarios in my case. The first one is we are in that 80% bear market thesis and Bitcoin goes back to whatever, 40, 50K. That has a certain percentage. There is a case that we're going to need a period to build a new floor in terms of price and go sideways for a long period of time before we go back up. But that would then be called the super cycle. Or the last one, we have this crash. There's something going to happen in the next week based from the central banks, and we V-shape it back up to 100K before we are even getting into 2026 and we continue the bull market. Those 3 are kind of the scenarios that we are looking at, and based on those scenarios, we make a strategy within our companies.
So I'm still.
I mean, it's very clear that you can't.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, it's okay.
I mean, you can't deny that there is a case of an actual bear market at this point in time. You can't also deny that if this is very irrational and there is an unwinding taking place of a big market maker or anything else, those tables can turn quite fast too with the amount of short sellers there are. So in the
Mhm.
middle of the storm, it's very hard to say one scenario. You also need to build multiple scenarios, and based on those scenarios, you give predictions or probabilities,
Mhm.
and then you design the strategy around it.
Yep. Yep. Looking quickly over here, I was really curious to see what it looks like actually on CoinGlass. Let me go ahead and add this to the stage real quick. In the last hour alone, 25 million in longs wiped out for BTC. I thought it would be a lot more, to be honest. Guys, come on. Aren't you? No, I'm not.
There
I
are
don't
not
want you.
many
I'm not trying to
left.
egg you on. There we go. 2 billion over the last 24 hours wrecked. That seems about right. This single event though was just devastating on the 10th. And again, it's like I didn't even realize at the time how disastrous that was. And even seeing over the last, I have to go over here to the 12-hour. We've just seen it an increase in longs getting wiped out over and over and over. Now, are you someone who's like, you're totally comfortable, you're a you're a bi-directional trader where you don't have a problem going long or going short, you don't necessarily have a bullish or bearish, like solely like that kind of bias? Are you able to just like flip-flop back and forth in the market? Because when I see stuff like this just screams everyone wants to go long, but everyone just keeps getting wrecked over and over and over. Like, are you able to ignore your emotions and actually flip the script and just go with the flow and short the market when you feel like, okay, no, we're done, we're good? Or do you still find yourself struck with that bullish bias a lot of the time? You there? He's really thinking about this one, and it's only fair to give him time to think about it. No, I'm pretty sure his internet's dead. I think I just want to keep talking to him. I should just ask him questions. You know, Michael, I really have a deep question for you, and I just want you to take as much time as you need to answer this one, okay? Because I want to be fair. It's a deep question. Michael? Yeah. Crashed again. That's okay. And speaking of crash, of course, Bitcoin is too. All right. I want to go over. I want to go and do this. We're going to look at some charts. I want to help you guys out a little bit while Michael gets his stuff together, and it's okay. There we go. All right. Give me a second. Okay, cool. All right, there you go. He's back again. I'm gonna take over to make sure your internet's solid. Okay. Now, one thing that I've been very, very vocal on for BTC for the longest time is I'm still actually a big 4-year cycle believer, in that the 4-year cycle is governed by the halvings, which start every single cycle, and we can use the halvings to do everything that we need to do. From the halvings to our all-time high, it was actually predicted to happen as early as September 15th, right here, October 13th, or over here as late as November 10th, which is already passed. I mean, I've already done a lot of these measurements to tell us when the market top might be happening. But the reality is that I still believe that we are in a 4-year cycle, because what happens is when we have our halving, we have an explosive move. We got way ahead of schedule with the ETF hype, but I still think that we have hit our top year. So what I'm talking about is this video that I made a while ago. Let me go back over here. So this is essentially the formula, and it's not that difficult to figure out. This year, 2025, is the year that Bitcoin tops, which it did for all intents and purposes, which means that we're heading into a bottom year. I'm personally of the belief that BTC is going to be dropping about down like 75% or so, down to 35K, bottoming out probably now in October, since we topped out in October. There are other reasons why that price point works really well. We're already not halfway there yet, but we're getting really close to that. But I think it makes more sense for BTC to continue dropping. Yes, we're oversold short term. Yes, we're going to have a whipsaw, like literally break your neck style pump all the way back up, maybe even 117K before going lower. We're not just going to keep dumping and dumping and dumping. But this is something that I've been warning you guys here on the channel for a while. We're going into a bear market. I've been expecting that. So in terms of my expectations, we were right on it. It's just we didn't hit my price points, which is the frustrating part about it. So you mentioned before that you're not really a big believer in the 4-year cycle, Michael. Is that right? You think more in like terms of liquidity cycles with the business cycle and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, I'm more or less in the camp of being macro driven. If you look at the numbers, the amount of Bitcoin that are being issued or mined in a year, and the sell pressure that gives compared to the buy pressure that's coming from institutions, it's kind of in the crossroad right now. So the institutional buy pressure took over and is likely going to be more important than miners selling their Bitcoin for productivity requests or just looking at the fact that they need to sell their Bitcoin. So that's going to be a different scale of impact over the years to come, which means that I believe that the macro tables are more important to look at. And this cycle, if this is the peak, then it's quite an unusual cycle. And it's also quite disturbing if we're going to go into another 3-year bear market from this standpoint, because in terms of innovation and adoption, it's not going to help if there's no growth for the rest of the ecosystem. And that's something to look at, I would say.
Let's actually talk about that for a second, because I've seen people on both sides of the fence on this topic, and I have a personal opinion on it. But let's talk about the fact that we've seen so many new coins minted recently in crypto, namely like meme coins. There's the meme coin mania that happened back in 2024 on Solana and stuff like that, and Pump Fun or like Moonshot, all that stuff. I'm personally of the belief that the crypto market cap is so bloated with so much garbage that a bear market is actually going to be the best possible medicine, that it's actually going to be beneficial to cleanse the crypto space and get rid of all of these low cap meme coins. Do you feel like there is too much competition in crypto with so many new coins being created all the time, whether they actually have a purpose, they solve a problem, or they're just for fun, they're just for, giggles and stuff?
Oh, so many layers to this question. First of all, I think there's kind of always that someone says there are too many altcoins out there. I think altcoins are meme coins, and but tokens that are being used by a crypto company is a different category. Those guys are building some great tech, but the token is probably not really having a use case. That's just a crypto company like Chainlink is, Aave is. Those are not called altcoins, in my opinion. I saw a tweet the other day that said, yes, the amount of tokens that have more than 100 million of volume on a day are just beneath 100 tokens. So yes, there are many tokens out there, but there's literally no volume in most of these coins, which means that the market is still very tiny in general. I think the cleansing has already been happening. There are many projects that are going live with the token that get destroyed within a week. Some teams have been building on it for years and then they get screwed over. I think the fact that altcoins have not been going up is also due to the fact that many institutions give VCs the options to basically write a covered call on their locked tokens if there is a perp on the altcoin. What is that? Well, technically, if you have a position in a token and it's locked, it has a certain value. And through a covered call, you can hedge that position to a certain value and get an APR for it. The one that is making the covered call needs to short a perp to get a return for themselves. And that is what is constantly been happening and been overwriting. And that's why altcoins keep on falling, because there's no actual buy pressure to get them back up. Or at least it's not an equilibrium. That needs to be wiped out, and then probably we're going to get some more upside. But and then I think most projects have raised money on valuations that are completely ridiculous. The last ones that were going live, Canton and Monad and stuff, those are at like, what is it, 3 to 5 billion? Like, why? Why would you be an unicorn without even having a productive testnet?
Yep. Yeah, and I feel like I've seen it also float around to that idea that AI is also in a very similar bubble right now, where the valuations of some of these companies is just astronomical, similar to what we saw in the dot-com crash. Not that I was even aware of what was happening at the time. I think I was a junior actually in high school, 2000. Yeah, I graduated 2001. Yeah, so I mean, I wasn't even aware of any of this stuff. Thank God. My life was so much happier in high school. Ugh, skateboarding, going with friends, snowboarding, just, yeah, not worrying about the price of my portfolio going up and down so much. Okay.
I was
Um,
7 during that period, so I mean,
yeah. Now, I think it's important for you guys to remember to like the video. I know it's kind of a heavy day, and I'm not trying to like joke around like, oh yeah, everything's fine. I know that this is rough. Trust me, it is. Now, what Michael and I are both sharing our own personal thoughts, our own personal ideas about what's going to happen. We don't have magic 8 balls. Like, I don't have any affiliation with some secret, like ultra, like high tech whale group that tells me all the information to say, so that way you guys believe what I say, or rather you don't believe, or Michael, and like you do the opposite. Like, there are no mind games. I'm literally just sharing my thoughts. So is Michael. So just keep that in mind. But I think it's important to talk about what you are interested in buying if we are entering into a massive bear market. What coins do you feel like are worth reaccumulating after they fall down 70, 80, 90%? I want to give you time to think about it because I'm putting you on the spot. I have a couple that I want to share real quick before I pass it over to you. Is that cool?
yeah, sure.
Okay. So first off, there's this little known coin that has a ticker. It's BTC. I think it's really going to do really well in the future, but it's still pretty fresh and new. It's really unknown. Like, only has like 21 million coins ever. Most of them are lost, not most, but some. But guys, do not fade buying Bitcoin. Buying Bitcoin for me down here at 21K has provided me so much cushion, even though I missed out on some really big gains on other coins that went up. Make sure that whatever you do, when Bitcoin falls down, if we do go into a confirmed bear market, which by all appearances, that seems to me what's happening next, Bitcoin should be one of the first things that you consider buying. I'm personally looking at buying around 35K. This will be my level to watch. I'm prepared to buy lower, but I'm going to be waiting for the price to go a lot lower. Okay? I'm totally prepared for that to happen. I'm glad you're laughing. Other coins that I'm
for a while.
okay. Other coins that I'm really interested in getting are BNB, mainly because this chart and CZ cannot be defeated, even though he's not the CEO anymore of Binance. This coin has clearly done so well this past 2 years. From October at $212, up 500% to like 1,400. What I'm trying to show you is that you don't have to like go garbage dumping. Like, you don't have to dumpster diving. That's what it was. Garbage dumping. You don't have to look for some random coin, even like a new coin that you might be interested in. Go ahead and just stick with what works well. Like Solana, I remember when it fell down here and everyone was just hating on it, including myself, until finally Solana pumped from $21 all the way up to $200 out of nowhere, right? Like, we've seen this happen so many times. What I'm saying is, don't discount the majors. Some of them have been oversold for a long time, and they're going to have some massive, massive declines. Another one that is worth considering is actually Zcash, because when Zcash bottoms out, it bottoms out every single time down here to like $25, and it doesn't really go too much higher than where it is right now. Being able to short this one would be incredible, but being able to preserve your portfolio to buy at a massive discount, because this one typically has these insane pumps over 1,000%, right? This is what I'm going to be focusing on for the next several months. Confirming the bear market, we get a little bit of a bullish reverse rally up that makes everyone buy back in, aping back in, getting really excited, only to crash the market again and everything goes lower. Or like Sui. Like, I love Sui, I'm so thankful for the team and like everything that they do. It's so cool. They have a great product, great partners, all that stuff. I don't want to buy it here. I want to buy it like down here at like 40 cents. No disrespect to the team, but I would much rather buy these coins on a discount than trying to buy it here, as everything is very much strong bearish and dumping further. You get what I'm saying? So I'm trying to help you guys in that you don't have to go crazy dumpster diving for random tokens. You can actually just focus on the majors, top 10, top 20, top 30, identify a couple that have performed well, figure out, okay, what are some good logical targets to look for, and then be patient. Place your buy orders and wait. That to me, that's 2026 in a nutshell. That's it. But what were you? You were laughing, so I want to hear what you're laughing about. Tell me what's so funny.
I mean, I wasn't really expecting to hear a discussion about Bitcoin going to 35K.
Oh man, come on! It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean it's possible, but if that happens, then the markets are going to have some serious issues to get adoption going. Also, before I dive into those coins, I'm not going to pop up any chart because my computer and internet are like completely chaotic at this point. I'm on 5G on my phone right now. So I'm going to buy an altcoin that has.
You want to actually just turn off your video and then you can just have audio? Sorry, I cut you off.
Regardless, it's up to you. I think if it is a true bear market, then I would like to see altcoins to fall even more. So I want. Right now, we see Ether flatlining against Bitcoin for the past month. That is a good slide sign. So the next bounce up, it will tell whether or not we are going to see more momentum in altcoins or not. Looking into 2026, buying the dips, my core focus will be. For instance, near intents are doing absolutely great. Tau is one of the coins that I'm looking at. And when it comes to DeFi, the Clarity Act that's going to likely be approved before the midterms is going to have the same impact as the Genius Act did with the stablecoins. So in that sense, things like Aave, Chainlink, and more of those protocols like Ethena, EtherFi, those are all great ones to buy at massive discounts because the markets are irrational, but fundamentally the institutions keep on developing. So those are the two key ones for me outside of Bitcoin and ETH, of course.
Okay, thanks. That's good. Okay, guys, don't forget in the description below, lots of links for exchanges, for Coin Bureau's website, all that fun stuff. Click on that stuff. Click lots of stuff. Click the like button. Hit the subscribe button. All the good stuff. Okay. Now I want to talk about a couple of things. Do you ever pay any attention to dominance levels? Do you watch Bitcoin dominance? Do you care about that, or do you watch like stablecoin dominance and stuff like that?
I do monitor the Bitcoin dominance and chart and analyze that one. The stablecoin dominance I have not been following.
Okay, so I want to share this with you, okay? Because I think that this is gonna get a nice laugh out of you, a nice tickle. So this is combined stablecoin dominance, okay? So this is putting USDT and USDC.D together. The last time that we saw it spike up here, actually, I already have all of these, I think. Yep, it pumped up 8.756% on August 5th, 2024. This is when the Nikkei had that crash that tanked everything, Bitcoin, and everything just went nuts. And then we had a recovery, dipped again in September, but that was pretty much it. But this zone up here, in my opinion, because of this big move up here, this is my personal bear market zone that I've been watching for a long time. Conversely, there has been a bull market top zone over here when we see stablecoin dominance drop to about 5.5% or so below that. So we fast forward, we reverse back up, things get even worse and hairier here on April 7th. This is when we had all the tariffs, and this was max fear during tariffs. And we saw it max out here at 8.848%. And then on the 9th, there was a massive reversal in the market, and everything just started coming back to life. to the point where we almost saw it get into the bull market top zone. But then here's the 10th, right? Here's this max pain, max fear, 26% candle in stablecoin dominance. That's a lot. That's a big painful move. And here we are. This keeps actually moving up higher. So in my opinion, this is, wait, no, not there. There we go. We now have a new high at 9.44%, which is the scariest high that we've seen. So in terms of like max pain zone, we are above max pain. If we were playing a video game, it would literally be max pain. If we were watching Princess Bride, we've cranked the knob up to 11 on what's his name? Oh my gosh. The Dread Pirate Roberts. Oh god, that's okay. It doesn't matter. It's at max pain right now. Do you feel like because we are at this max pain level in regards to stablecoin dominance, where it does a pretty good job of showing us when we are really fearful, do you feel like things are just going to keep pumping from here, which would result in more dumping? Or do you feel like we're nearing a pivot point for the market to bounce back?
Well, if you look at the data, I think we would have been bouncing up way earlier already. But the fact that we are currently at like 80K, 81K, printing a new low prior to the US Open, and now actually making a good bounce back up, as I see.
Yep. For now.
That is, yeah, for now. It's every time it's given back.
Yeah.
But it tells me that someone needs to get out of the markets. And again, the markets are very illiquid at this point. A big player can move the markets if they are forced to sell. So it's a very unusual, unprecedented move that we see in the market. But looking at the data, it's then also an opportunity that we do not get quite often. So it's a very big financial opportunity during those panic times to actually accumulate even Bitcoin.
Yeah. How do you
to expect a bounce back up to 95K, for instance? No, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was cutting you off unknowingly. You stopped talking, but it was just your Wi-Fi cutting out. Now, I think it's actually important too that we talk about TradFi for a minute, because you have mentioned it a couple of times, and other people mentioned it in the chat as well. So like the S&P had a massive drop yesterday. If you look at this chart on the weekly, it's pretty rough. But honestly, I am so jealous for people that are in TradFi because they do not know pain. They kept making new all-time highs. They had a high just a couple weeks ago at 68.82, and they're down from that all-time high 4%. And people, I mean, when I see the posts from people, like the news articles and the headlines, it's like, stock market falls 1%. It's like, guys, really? Just 1%? I would kill for Bitcoin to just be down 1% today. That would be amazing. So like, anyway, how do you see crypto being influenced by what could possibly unfold here? Because you did mention before as well, like the Japan carry, unwind, all that fun stuff. Like we just saw the yen, I use it inverted. It went almost up to 158, which is nuts. And the Nikkei also is not looking very good either. It's starting to finally top out. But how do you see TradFi affecting what is happening in crypto? Do you feel like there's going to be a shift from that money that people have made in TradFi? They're going to put it into crypto magically, which some people think to believe that's the case. Or will crypto be dragged down with the stock market if it gets even worse over in TradFi? What do you think?
Well, I think yesterday has proven that we are very heavily correlated. I think the Nas opened in green. Bitcoin was actually having a bounce. And then Nasdaq fell off a cliff by like 3% in less than 90 minutes. And in the same time, Bitcoin started to go off a cliff. And that's also why you probably see the exact same occur right now. So if the Nasdaq and the S&P are going to fall, it's going to have a similar but bigger impact to crypto. Bitcoin is still a risk on higher beta play than the Nasdaq. So we need to have the Nasdaq to go up to have a bigger Bitcoin impulse to the upside. Sometimes Bitcoin moves first and then the Nasdaq follows, but the correlation is quite big. I think what we need to realize, or we need to watch though, is if gold is going to stagnate and consolidate, that might be a signal that we go from risk off to risk on, and that the money that is being made in commodities is going to move to crypto. That is one to watch. But other than that, I think that if equities are going to go on a drop of like 20 to 30% from here, we'll see Bitcoin at one of your numbers, I would say.
Okay. So let's talk about that too. I mean, this is Coin Bureau trading. It's not exclusively crypto, but gold, it's pretty hard to ignore the massive rally that gold has had. Absolutely insane, up to 4,400. You said if gold starts to consolidate, as in moving in a sideways channel or so, okay, they're good. Moving sideways like that, do you feel like that will be a positive sign for growth, or rather for funds to rotate into maybe Bitcoin to hopefully push the price back up as people are taking profits?
I mean, the fact that gold has gone up 65% in a year it doesn't happen in like 200 years or so. It's one of the biggest returns that we've had. 1970 was comparable. Yeah. And that's in panic that there is in the markets. So once that starts to consolidate, just like we peaked in 2020, is an indication that the markets might switch from risk off to risk on. So if the entire Japan thing is going to inverse back up and gold is going to consolidate, it has proven to be a good sign of economic growth in the history. What you want to see is things like copper go up, the PMI goes up, and that will be a signal for risk-on assets to go on a tear. However, if we start to look in the longer window, so we discussed Japan again, and the impact of Japan right now is going to be seen in the rest of the world in 12 to 24 months, which means that is the window. If they can like lengthen it a bit, that's the window. If things go up, it's irrational that they go up, and in that window you need to actually utilize that moment to get as much cash as possible before the big crisis happens. So it's a dynamic world, and I think that indeed if gold consolidates, it's going to provide that window for crypto to go up and to be different than the 4-year cycle.
Okay. So we had a couple of people asking for some coins. I'm looking through the comments. I'm trying to pay attention to what people are asking for. I did talk about a couple of them. All right, cool. Let's look at a couple of these. Oh wait, no, you said you don't want to do your screen sharing because of the Wi-Fi. Is that right?
I could try something if let me check if it works.
Okay. I think actually it'd be really helpful if you took a look at Ethereum, because people were asking about that. Ethereum, and also I saw early on someone already reserved it, WorldCoin, which I'm not personally a fan of, but hey, that's what a request is. People are asking. So.
All right. So I think my internet is strong enough to log into TradingView and to share some charts. So let's try to do it.
Okay, great.
There we go. Share screen. There we go. First of all, good bounce. That is, this is what you want to see, I guess, in terms of having a return. What I see on ETH is, as I said, we've had this big crash in the beginning of this month. We've had the big crash on the 10th of October. But since then, Ethereum has not been falling. So what I see on Ether is actually the start of a new uptrend. We've had the first impulse, just like 2019, 2020. We have a regular correction at this point. And if we zoom in a little bit more, we are currently consolidating on a higher time frame support. So as long as this stays above this entire area, we are good to go onto a new impulse, which is different than the thesis of a bear market. If Bitcoin was having a bear market crash, then this one would have been going it should be going towards any of these areas here, but instead it's just consolidating, which means that Bitcoin is the only one that is currently being sold off. Now, if I look at Ether against the dollar, which at this point is not loading.
That's okay.
It's kind of the same. Oh, there we go. Really gonna check it. Ether is actually terrible in terms of investment purposes over the past few years, right? If you invested into this in the summer of 2021, you're still underwater.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's going to be a bear market and we get into the lower bounds of like 1,000 to 1.5K, I would be happily buying this. But as you can see, we've had these corrections in 2024 and we have one in 2025, and they inverse quite fastly. So if the Clarity Act is going to be approved, and if we look at the monthly levels here, we are getting into a pivotal point, which means that in this area is where we start to go up. So in this area, it's also a higher time frame support area to at least look for a potential bounce play. Knowing that Ether against Bitcoin is doing quite well, there should at least be a bounce coming into anywhere in the middle of 3.4K, and then we'll probably need to reevaluate. But most of the altcoins, including ETH, are on a good level.
Okay, good. Wait, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and take a couple of these requests too. Hold on a second.
Sure.
Cool. I want to give you guys a dose of hopium. I don't have a magic 8 ball. I don't know exactly what's happening with anything. This is just me looking at charts. Okay. Now, the first thing that I want to say is that I don't know anyone on the Starkware team. I don't do any stuff like that. I'm just paying attention to lots of different stuff, lots of different metrics, not even the TB all the time. Volume for this chart is exactly what you want to see in a coin that is looking extremely bullish. Seeing volume just grow over and over and over like this for Starknet, to me, this is super exciting. So I'm excited for Starknet. It's already met my first target of the 236. I expect it to actually go up here and hit these other targets. Why? Because when the market chooses a coin, market being all of you guys, retail, but we also see other people, like I noticed Ansem posted about Starknet 2 days ago or something like that. I was so shocked. I was like, what, really? And of course, after he posts it, the price pumps up like 27%. That's what this chart does. This is a chart, though, that I think that could be the next runner. This is one that I'm looking at very, very seriously, and I've been accumulating. I also have Tensor up here to give you a little bit of hopium. I cannot tell you how many times I have patiently held coins only to see them, even buying at great support, and it goes lower, and I DCA, and I'm just like, I know this will work out. I know this will work out. Being down, what, in total, 66%. What did Tensor do over the last 3 days? Wednesday, in a single day, 185%. Yesterday, in total, 961%. Does Tensor have news? I don't know. Oh, Michael's back. Good. Okay. I don't know if it has news, but this kind of BS garbage happens all the time in crypto, which is why we have all been brainwashed to watch, wait, and just hold our bags in case that ours is the next Tensor. This is the sickness that is crypto, okay? So I'm sharing this with you as hopium because, again, it's just like Dumb and Dumber. There's always a chance. Zcash, if you look at this chart, it's absolute garbage. I don't care what they say about the tech. I don't care who's repping it. This chart is a curse. It's an STD, okay? It fell. Look at the listing high way back over here in 2016. $30,000. Are you for real? So from $30,000, it fell all the way down here to 22. And not just once, it did it multiple times. Bull market top 2018 January at $900, loses, but 98% of its value. Market top here in May 2021, loses 95% of its value. The moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, is twofold. It's important that you use proper risk management, but understand that coins are going to do whatever they want to do. The market's going to do whatever it wants to do, whether you think it's a good idea and it deserves to or not. I am not saying to hold your coins to zero because some poor soul that bought Tensor up here, even though he's only down 74% now, at least he's not down 96%. Do you know what I'm saying? You still need to use proper risk management. You still have to learn when to cut the cord. And if you're in a trade like this and you're up 500% and you're like, man, I really wanted to have 600%, take your keyboard, turn it around, and apply pressure multiple times as you thrust it into your skull, okay? You're an idiot. There's no reason why you should be dissatisfied with any amount of profit when the market is bleeding like this, okay? So protect profits if things actually pump in favor of your positions. Do not, for a minute, hesitate to at least listen. Rewatch my videos where I tell you all over and over, at least take a little bit of profit. At least take a little bit, because there are no guarantees. Even Stark could absolutely dump and drop. Bitcoin is having a little bit of a bounce right now. Doesn't mean that it's going to go up from here. It could still drop. So anything that happens to give you some sort of a relief bounce, a relief pump, please, guys, understand that that is a gift. It's a gift in disguise. Do not for a minute look that gift horse in the mouth, okay? Sorry, going off the rails a little bit right now.
That's all fine though. I'm struggling anyway, so apologies for my internet connection. It's been a bit difficult. That's
okay. You know what? I think your internet provider might be Bitcoin. I just have a funny suspicion.
So, they are angry that I'm not using Zcash.
Yeah. I have no hate. If you guys have made money trading Zcash, more power to you. Like, that was an incredible rally. And again, I think it's important for us to remember that. Again, this is going back to this idea of the sickness in crypto. Things can literally turn on a dime and just go absolutely insane because this market is so small and highly illiquid compared to TradFi. Okay. I want to make sure to give you some time because I've been yapping too much. Now, in terms of next year, I believe we're going into a bear market. What are you feeling like we're going to be doing next year in terms of Bitcoin specifically?
To be honest, if you ask me, I think that we are in the middle of a longer cycle and that we'll see new all-time highs for Bitcoin in Q1. And that after the Clarity Act and this is behind us, we see altcoins start to be stronger. And I think that we're going to have a longer cycle going probably into 2027, 2028, because the 4-year cycle doesn't exist anymore. So I'm actually the opposite of you, I guess, which is fine. At least there are like contrary beliefs, and I can understand why people believe the 4-year cycle. I also understand why people are saying, like myself, macro is more important. I don't know if next year is going to be that massive. I think two scenarios. One is we have a new all-time high, or second, as I said, Bitcoin is going to flatline. But even though if Bitcoin is going to flatline, I think the opportunity lies in certain verticals in the space that, for instance, if the Clarity Act is approved, I think DeFi will at least have a narrative for a little while.
Okay. I'm going to say it this way. I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong. I think everyone would be happier if that actually plays out. I'm all for Bitcoin having a reverse bounce and going up higher. Trust me.
I haven't been that right this year. I think most people haven't. Some people, including yourself, have been.
I've been right the whole time. No.
Yeah. Exactly as predicted, right? Um, no, but I mean, Benjamin has been doing great. I think, and I'm just dumb for hoping it, but I think that the impact of macro has just proven to be more significant, and that's why this cycle has been a big surprise until now, with a lot of factors, and I think that the markets are going to continue to surprise a lot of people.
Okay, fair enough, man. It's good. And again, I like also hearing your thoughts and your reasoning behind it as well. It is super duper normal, and it's actually healthy to have differing and dissenting opinions, as long as you can respectfully communicate them back and forth. The important thing that I know Michael will agree with me on 100% is that if you don't have a portfolio, you're not a trader or an investor anymore. You'll eventually have to make decisions about what you're holding, what you want to buy more of. I'm personally waiting for stablecoin dominance to stop pumping. That will be a very clear sign to me that, okay, things are reversing. And if we get this kind of reversal rally, trust me, I'm going to be looking at this thing with the most insane side eye the entire time that Bitcoin might be rallying up higher. So I think it's important to be careful, to understand that we're extremely bearish right now. I think that things are only going to get worse. Happy to be wrong. 100% happy to be wrong. Okay, Michael, final words of advice for everyone. What do you got to say? And also make sure to drop your socials and your links and all your fun stuffs. Well, don't drop no, not on the live stream. You can't do that. Children are watching. He's been frozen this whole time, hasn't he? I just thought he was taking a nap. No, I'm just joking around. Oh, that's okay. You know what? Let's all just like the video for Michael's sake, because, 3 times his signal's been dropped. We really need to encourage him to get a better internet provider. I'm literally crying. That's so funny. But you guys can find Michael's socials. His YouTube channel is in the description down below, as well as his X handle. So make sure to follow him. And until the next time, you know what to do. Stay awesome and stay in the green. Peace.